Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 111 of the Debt-Free Dad podcast. Today, I've got two amazing guests joining us, Brian and Miranda Warren. Now, Brian and Miranda started listening to the podcast and using the Debt Freedom Planner back in May of 2021. And since then, they have made some incredible progress, like saving and paying off nearly $22,000 combined. And as of November, Miranda reported that they are credit card debt free. Now, today they're going to be joining us to share their journey and just all the amazing tips and tricks to share with you and just how they did all of this in just the last 8 or 9 months. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt-Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt-Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, how is everyone doing today? You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt-Free Dad. And as always, everyone, welcome to today's show. And as you guys know, every single interview that we do and we bring on real life people, these are some of my favorite podcast episodes that we put out there. Again, it's always really simple for, Amber and Ryan and myself to get on here week in and week out and kind of share our journey. And it can kind of seem like, we're the ones on this island and it's not really, available to other people. And that's really just not true. And today we've got another amazing, incredible success story of people who have decided to say, you know what, we're going to do some things differently. We're going to try some of this stuff out. And man, they have made some incredible progress. And I'm so excited to have these two individuals on. So I'd like to welcome Brian and Miranda to the show. They've been married almost 3 years and they've been together a little over 5. They are a blended family with 3 kids total. And they just had their first child together back in August, which is awesome. So congratulations to them. They live in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and they enjoy doing things outdoors when they have the free time to do so. Now, Miranda loves crafting, cooking, and baking, and Brian enjoys making videos, playing video games, and watching horror movies. Now, Brian, me and you ain't going to get along. I'm not a fan of horror movies, man. They freak me out. Now, my brother Ryan, who's on this show, the reason I get freaked out about horror movies is because he tortured me. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. When I was little, he tortured me. So, man, I don't know how you could sit through those. But anyways, they say their number one goal this year is to buy a house. Miranda and Brian, welcome to the show. We're so glad that you guys are here.
Thank you.
Thank you. To be here. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start out here real quick. I would really love to know, how did you guys first hear about the podcast, or how did you guys come across the show? Because normally when we have people on the show, it's usually Roots members, people who have participated in Roots, that are part of our membership program, but you guys are not. You guys actually are just using the Debt Freedom Planner that we offer, and you guys found the podcast. So can you explain a little bit about who found that and kind of how you guys got onto this show?
So I was listening to Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
And another How to Money podcast on Spotify. And then yours popped up. And I fell in love with it immediately. There was no talk of investing. There was no talk of retirement. You were all right here, right now. You paid off $10. Amazing. And I really loved that because that was the situation that we're in. We weren't looking for retirement or investing at this moment. It was trying to just get out of debt. So I shared it with Brian.
Mm-hmm. And I think the best part about the podcast for me was it seemed much more obtainable, because hearing your story and hearing a lot of the other listeners' stories as they come on, it made it more real to just be like, okay, wait, all these people that are just like us are getting out of debt. This is possible. We can do this.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So was there any convincing between the two of you? Because usually when it's a relationship and there's a couple, it's usually one person kind of dragging and pulling the other. You got to listen to this, or you got to do this, or we got to listen to this stuff. We got to get our finances under control. Was there any of that going on before you guys kind of started this?
I think I think for me, we were kind of both we go through weird phases where one of us would be super motivated and the other would be like, well, maybe someday. And then the other one would kind of fall, and then the other one would be like, okay, but we want that house, and be like, yeah, but we're in so much debt, so whatever. I feel like it went back and forth so much, and then it wasn't until we actually were like, okay, wait, hold on, we need to get on the same page together. And go ahead.
I was like 6 months pregnant, and we were like, okay, I'm about to take 3 months off of work. We have nothing in savings. It was like, how are we going to survive, first of all, to even take maternity leave? And then pay off all of this debt on top of it. And we wanted to buy a house back in like 2017.
Yep.
So it's been a long time coming. And then we shared the podcast with both of our moms, actually. And then for our anniversary, which is May 26th, his mom got us the Debt Freedom Planner, and we've started it and did everything since.
What an awesome story. How cool is that? What a great start. I love that. Love that. And I just love that the two of you were, may not have been on the same page as far as motivation, every time you wanted to start, but, the two of you had sensed that, you guys needed to do something about this. One of the things that we talk about a lot on this show, and one of the things that we struggle with a lot with people and is helping them get their partner on board with that. So that being that the two of you were, and I'm sure it's not always easy still, even when you're on the same page, it's still not always easy, right? I know me and my wife, it's not always easy, right? But for the most part, we're on the same page and we kind of get where we're both going. So that is a huge help. Now, you had mentioned, Miranda, like, you were 6 months pregnant, some of the things that you guys were struggling with, the security of not having any money is what kind of prompted you to get started. Can the two of you share maybe some of even before that? Like, what do you feel like as you guys went through, high school and whether or not you went to college or became an adult, got your first full-time jobs and stuff, how was your relationship with money? And how has that played a role in gotten you to where you are before you started this journey, do you think?
Okay, so for me, my parents worked since I was born. They were always super hardworking, but they are in mountains of debt.
Yeah.
And I remember one story specifically. It was Christmas, and we went out Black Friday shopping, and the register person, cashier, she kept pestering my mom for a credit card. My mom was like, I don't think I'm going to get approved. And the cashier was like, well, why don't we just try it anyway? Most people get approved. My mom got approved, maxed it out right then and there.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty much been that. It's still like that. So when I was 18, my mom was like, just get a credit card. Like, okay, got a credit card. A month later, went and got a car loan that I'm still paying on. It's one of the last things we have to pay.
Yeah.
So I still have that. And then it was always, well, if I don't have the money for this, I'll just use a credit card and I'll just pay it next month. It's fine. But I never ended up paying them off. It was always just racking more debt. Just go get another credit card. It's fine.
And one thing, I don't remember a lot of my parents like talking about money a whole lot. I know that we struggled, but they never really aired it too much. So I just know one Christmas was a little rough and all that. But I do know that my understanding of debt and everything was pretty much that debt was normal and that it was okay. Even up until a couple years ago, you and I were talking about how we wanted to pay off one of our credit cards so that we could use that same credit card to buy ourselves some MacBooks because we're like, it's going to be so nice to pay off this debt so that we can go into more debt. And it was just the whole thought process was so backwards, and it's crazy how much has changed since even then.
Yeah. So, man, that is interesting. And I got to tell you, there even just with our age difference, because I'm in my early 40s, but our stories are very similar. I went through the same things. My parents, my mom was big on credit scores. That's what she taught us about. Obviously, she tried to teach us all the other basics of having a budget, living below your means and things like that. But, it was mostly credit scores is all I heard about. And you're right. It's like debt is just so normal. So it's like it didn't make any sense that you wouldn't have it. And it's kind of like what you said, Miranda, like it never ended. Like it was like I'd get one credit card, I'd get another credit card, I'd have one car payment and eventually get a bigger car payment. It's like at some point it's like, okay, I'm making more money, I'm getting older, but this isn't getting better. It's actually getting worse and more stressful. Like this isn't supposed to be how this is supposed to work. So did you guys before you found the podcast and before you found the planner, did you guys already start working on some of this stuff before you found some of those things? Or, well, I know you mentioned Dave Ramsey and so talk a little bit about kind of your journey up until the point where you guys really started getting serious with some of this stuff.
I'd say what I had started doing towards the end of 2020 was I started tracking expenses. Like every single transaction we had, I was tracking on a spreadsheet. And it showed a lot of shocking details because it was all categorized: fast food, coffee, gas station convenience, all that kind of stuff. And the fast food one was probably the most frightening of all.
Yeah,
and
it is for most people.
We're still not perfect. All right. I'm just going to put that out there, but we've gotten way better.
I did.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I did your, what did you call it? Your task for everybody.
Oh, the 3 to 6. Yeah. The 3 to 6 month. Yeah. Go back for 3 to 6 months of expenses. Yeah.
I did the whole year for 2021.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even finish doing McDonald's because we had 3 pages of transactions for it.
Yeah.
And we were already over $4,000 in 2021.
Yep.
Like I said, we're not perfect. We've got some work to do, but it was certainly improvement. But so I think a lot of it started there. Because even while I was tracking, it's like we both recognized we had a problem, but we both still weren't ready to tackle it yet. It's like we'd look at the spreadsheet at the end of the month and be like, wow, we spent $700 on fast food. Something is wrong with this image. And it'd be like, well, let's do it again next month. Like, okay, well,
yeah.
I think we hit a point, I want to say, where we just got sick of it. We got sick of, I think in one of your podcasts, you describe it perfectly, but it's living one crisis to another. And that's just how we felt. Like every single time we felt like we even got a little bit ahead, money's gone again. And we're using debt to pay for the crisis. So,
Yep. Yeah. I think everyone kind of has that almost like what I guess the saying is, that come to Jesus moment. It really is. You have to be ready. Like there is a moment, and for me, it was when I lost my house. That was the end for me, because I was kind of like you guys. I was kind of doing it, right? But I didn't have enough motivation or why behind it to really put it to work. So I just kind of, let's just say, half-assed it. I did.
Right.
And I didn't get really serious until I lost my house. And that to me was like kind of what you said, Miranda, when you found out, you're 6 months pregnant, you have no money in a savings account. Like, it's kind of becomes almost like a wake-up call. It's like, okay, we got to get to work. We got to start doing some of this stuff. It was the same thing when I lost my house. But you're absolutely right. So share with us, because I'm sure, people are probably wondering, who are listening to this and saying, okay, if they just did this with the planner and listening to the podcast. So what were some of the big things, like when you go back to May and June and July, when you guys first started getting started, what do you guys feel helped you guys make the biggest differences as you guys kind of got going?
So I believe it was one of your podcasts, you guys had said, if you have time to sit around and watch TV, you have time to go make extra money. And we sat down one day, we started the budget course of yours.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We got maybe 10 minutes into it. And then we were like, nope, let's go DoorDash.
Yeah, because we eventually got through your whole budget course, but at the time it almost felt like one of those things we were telling ourselves, well, we're working on it because we're watching this right now. Yeah. And it was like, okay, no, like right now we're motivated. Let's just get out there and make some money. Because one of your other podcasts, I can't remember if it was a guest or anyone, but they had said that they were doing DoorDash in their free time. And we had both messed around with delivery service in the past, but we were like, well, let's try it out, because we have this free time and baby's not here yet. And we only have the other 2 kids half the time right now. So the other half, we could be putting ourselves to work and getting a lot of this debt paid off and getting ourselves squared away. And that,
in 6 days, we put our first 1,000 in the savings.
Yes,
that's
incredible. How driven we were.
Did everyone's listening to this? Did you hear that? Because there's so many people. It drives me insane. Because we live in a world nowadays where it is just making money right now, just extra money on doing side gigs, side hustles, and everything. Like, we live in the best time in human history to be able to do that here in the United States. Like, there's if you are physically able to work, like, there's no reason why you can't go out and make extra money, even if times are tough. And you said in 6 days you guys made and had your $1,000. Incredible.
Yep.
Incredible.
I want to say we also were both working full time. I'm
Yes.
a general manager. I put in 50 hours a week, and then he was also putting in 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even
we made
still,
the sacrifice.
like, see, and that's what I love about it. And you bring up the right word, sacrifice. You know, I think for a lot of people, they might rest on that and be like, yeah, I work 50, you know, they're working 50 hours. We're doing enough, right? But you guys went into it with a different attitude, with a more proactive approach. And people will sit back and say, well, I could never pay off $22,000 in 8 or 9 months. Well, you could if you were willing to sacrifice and get outside your comfort zone and go out and do some different stuff. And you guys are proof of that, right?
Well, and I will add in real quick, it's not like all of that money came from DoorDash either. A lot of it came from the fact that we had the money, we just weren't allocating the funds properly. So the DoorDash definitely helped boost us, and it helped keep us motivated because we were making that extra money. But a lot of that paying off debt came from what we were already bringing to the table, but we weren't putting it in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I remember in your post, Miranda, about you guys had built that emergency fund, but then all of a sudden you guys had an emergency happen, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So 6 days. That was our goal number 1 for June. We wanted to have our $1,000 emergency fund. Goal number 2 was new tires on his car. So we hit our $1,000 emergency fund in the 6 days. The next day, he got a flat tire.
Yeah, unrepairable.
Since goal number 2 was to just go ahead and get new tires, I guess we'll just use $700 out of our emergency fund and get new tires. Yep. So built back up our emergency fund, had new tires. So goal number 1 and 2 got checked.
Yeah. But how great.
It was the first time that we didn't have to use a credit card to pay for tires.
What a win. That's such a great win.
Oh, amazing.
You know, those are motivational killers for most people. And that's why that emergency fund is so critical, because most people just skip that part and they go to paying off debt. And then that happens. And then their motivation is just, you know, destroyed because they got to go back into debt for it. So awesome. So what are some things that, you know, have you guys found challenging over the last 8 or 9 months? I mean, because it's not an easy road. I mean, even with, you know, the plan or the tools, even if someone who joined, and we say this all the time, even if you join Roots, it's not exactly just makes it a cakewalk. I mean, you still got to put in the work. So what have you guys had any major struggles over the last 8 or 9 months, things that were sacrifices that were painful, but have been, you know, big payoffs for you guys? Anything about that?
Yeah, so we sacrificed our anniversary. We sacrificed both of our birthdays.
Yeah.
Like gift giving and even just going out on dates, honestly.
Yeah.
We had free time. It was, we need to be doing something with our free time that's going to help us reach our goals. And our biggest goal is a house.
Yeah.
And part of that was taking accountability as well, because I remember just the thought process of like, well, we put ourselves in this situation. We haven't earned the right to go out for dates yet, you know, and now we're in a place where we can go out on a date together and we're okay with it because we're like, you know, it's fine. But when we were sitting in that much debt, we're like, we put ourselves in this situation. We need to get ourselves out and then we can treat ourselves. So
what a fantastic
we had to
mindset.
Definitely sacrifice. Yeah.
I love how you said that too. We haven't earned it back yet. I love that. It's so true. Yeah. It's so true. You know, we live in a world that, you know, celebrates overspending, that celebrates, you know, overindulgence. And, you know, it's hard to not get sucked into that thinking, you know, that we deserve to, it's my birthday. We deserve to go out. It's my birthday. Like, why wouldn't we go out? Right. So I take it you guys have no regrets skipping out on some of that stuff based on where we're at right now, right?
No, we got the rest of forever to enjoy this, so we're good.
Yeah. That is awesome. So can you guys break down your numbers a little bit, you know, because you mentioned that you guys were credit card debt free as of November, but can you kind of break down, like, what did you guys all pay off? What have you guys been able to do the last 8 or 9 months since you guys have started this?
So I think one of the first things we paid off was actually a debt settlement company.
Okay.
We had like 2600 left in that. So we had paid that off, paid off a totaled car, got it. Okay.
That's a whole,
it's a whole story.
But
we made bad decisions and it had totaled once before we took that check and spent it on our wedding.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
It was a leased car, by the way.
Yes.
So I remember you talked about making some stupid decisions with money in the day, or back in the day. I'm here to tell you, we sit on that throne. We have made some stupid decisions with money. So,
well, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
So yeah, we used the insurance check to pay for a wedding. So then we had to make that money back somehow, because it was easier at the time to just be like, well, that's a few years away. We'll figure it out once we get there.
Not your team.
Yeah, you showed up, and 2021 was when the car was due back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that year came, and then got into another accident with it, which sounds weird, but it kind of blessing in disguise. Check paid for it. So it is what it is.
Right.
So that paid that. And then we used some of it to buy a lot of it, to buy a car that's a 3rd row seater so that we could actually fit all 3 kids.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then we were able to pay off some other credit cards, like not everything.
Now you paid did you pay cash for the used car?
Yeah.
You did pay cash, so that's awesome.
We had an option of either, I mean, a lot of people were recommending that we go the new route again, and I was just like, no, I just had a new leased car, and that went terribly. So I don't want to do that again. And on top of that, I don't want another car payment. No. So we used most of that insurance check and just bought a used car, a downgrade from the one that was leased, but it was like, this is so worth it.
Yeah.
So much less stress.
Feels pretty good driving a paid-for car, right? Even if it's used.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is
pretty awesome.
I hate driving my car right now.
Yeah. It does. It feels great. So, other questions that I had for you guys too was talking a little bit more about the emergency fund. Have you guys, outside of that, have you guys had to use it since, or have you guys been able to maintain that? Because typically what we see for a lot of people who build that first emergency fund is they get very protective over it. And like when emergencies happen, instead of using the emergency fund, a lot of them are able to just pull out their budgets, readjust their spending, and kind of take on some emergencies without touching their emergency fund. Have you guys had some ups and downs with that emergency fund, even outside those flat tires?
Yeah.
It's fluctuated a little bit here and there, but
once we see it drop below 1,000, it's one of those anxiety like stressors. Like, no, we need that 1,000 in there because that's our motivator.
Right.
If we don't have our $1,000 emergency fund, it's like, okay, what's happening?
Yeah.
We need to like go and reevaluate. So yeah, in our total of the almost 10,000 saved, that's counting building up our emergency fund 2 to 3 more times.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
On top of that, we saved up $3,000 for maternity, for $4,000 for maternity leave, and so it mostly took care of the entire time she was out of work. But then we had to dip into the emergency fund towards the end there. Yeah. But it was crazy though, because all of that money was money saved. So it was. Instead of going into debt, we survived off of our one income for 3 months comfortably.
That is
because
incredible.
of our savings.
It hurt to dig into the maternity.
Oh yeah, our goal when we first had our baby was, what if we can do this without digging into the maternity fund? And so we thought we could for a little while, and
we made it a good month and a half before we had to start.
Yeah, it was like, okay, we're falling behind like crazy now.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's awesome, and what a great accomplishment to be able to save that and then not have to worry about your finances as you're off with that time. I mean, that's such an important time. You know, it really, really is, and not have to stress about the finances. Good for you guys. That's an amazing accomplishment. So let's talk a little bit about the life side of things, because, you know, there is a money side of this, but let's talk about how this has kind of helped you guys, you know, improve your lives. Like, as a relationship, do you guys feel like things have been better between the two of you, just from a communication standpoint, feeling better about your finances? Because for most people, well, here in the United States, money is one of the number one causes of divorce. It's one of the number one causes of fights and arguments in relationships. So how would you guys say that this has helped you improve over the last 8 or 9 months, just getting on track?
So I can say, when we first started our relationship, we were very open. This is a debt that I have. This is a debt that I have. We pretty much put everything out on the table.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, we've been very open about everything. Within 3 months of dating, we were on a joint bank account. So it was like, we're tackling everything together.
Yeah.
I can say probably 6 months before we really started getting into gear, it was almost like a blame game. It was, well, you're spending this much on coffee.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, well, you're spending this much on fast food, you know?
Right.
So once we took the questions that you had on your website, and while we were outdoor dashing, we were going over the questions. And one of
these are the
non-negotiable.
Are these the money conversation questions?
Yes.
Yeah, love it. Love that. Awesome.
Yes. So we had gone over those, and I was guilty of spending way too much money on coffee. And then I decided that was my non-negotiable. But it came with a what do you call it?
Stipulation,
I guess. Yeah. I could only have it once a week.
Okay.
So
love that.
Instead of going out and buying 2 or 3 coffees a day, I only had one a week. And that helped. As far as communication goes, yeah, things are really good. It's one of those, I mean, we bought a car.
Yeah.
So it's like nothing spent on our account goes uncommunicated.
I was going to say my struggle when we first started was I was the fast food buyer because at work I was given the freedom to just go buy lunch every day. So
yeah.
And I justified it to myself that way. Well, I got to eat, you know. But ever since we got motivated, I've been bringing lunch to work every day.
Love that.
So we've been saving loads of money on fast food as far as that goes. Like I said, we're so guilty sometimes. When we're together is usually when we cave and we're like, all right, well, do we want to cook tonight or?
Yeah, I hear that. You know, it is always going to be a temptation, and you shouldn't feel bad. The number one thing that most people overspend on is going out to eat. we see it all the time. So you're definitely not unique in that way. None of us are. And that's exactly why we decided to kind of cut it out for a while. That's why we went on our 425 straight days of no eating out.
Yeah, amazing, by the way.
Because, well, thank you. We're done with it now, but man, that's why we did it. Because it's like, man, this is just getting out of control. And here I am, I'm teaching this stuff, you know, and it still can get out of control. You know, you always got to be watching it. So, obviously, you know, you've got kids. You can hear them in the background, which is great here on the Debt Free Dad podcast. So, talk a little bit about how this is helped your family. Like, have you started sharing a little bit of this with your kids? And obviously I know you have a really young one, but have they noticed anything, or have you guys started having some of these chats or no?
Say our son is 7 years old. And he knows that we want a house, and he's pretty much asking all the time, when are we getting the house? And we're like, well, we're still saving. We're still trying to get the money for closing costs and all that. And we've tried to explain to him that, we try to explain to him a little bit, as much as a 7-year-old can understand about how debt works, why we don't have a house yet, the decisions we made, kind of just to start early and just kind of get those seeds implanted there, just to say, hey, you know, we made some bad decisions, but we're fixing them now. We're not going to let this define us. We're going to get the house that our family deserves. And yeah,
we had to learn how to say no.
Yes.
To our
Yes.
Wow. Such a big one. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you, can you provide any tips? Was it just staying firm? Because a lot of people ask that. I have a hard time saying no to my kids. So what worked for you guys?
Being open and honest, I think really helped, because it was, no, we cannot go get pizza tonight. But maybe next week.
Yeah.
When, you know, maybe next week when we budget for it.
Love that.
Then we can do it. And it was, if we get this now, then it's going to set us back for getting a house. So we actually, for a while there, were keeping our spend sheets up on the refrigerator in their view, so that they could look at the numbers and see kind of what was going into savings and what was being spent on everything. And that was also not only a good motivator, but holding us accountable.
Yeah.
Why did you spend this much on this?
Yeah.
Well,
Nothing like having your kids hold you accountable, right?
yeah, seriously.
I love that. I love that. But seriously, good for you guys. I mean, I think I can't tell you how many people, well, I mean, you guys kind of described it, you know, a lot of us just aren't shown how to do this stuff. And what you guys aren't only doing for your own lives, but also for your kids' lives by, you know, just not only just, you don't even have to necessarily teach them. It's just them watching you guys do it. It's just absolutely incredible. So congratulations to you guys. All right. So last couple questions for you guys. So we talked a little bit, obviously, with your kids, but what about friends and family? Did they, you know, over the last 8 or 9 months, anyone have any strange things to say to you guys about you guys doing some of this stuff, taking control of your finances? Did anyone give you any weird responses or anything?
We got a must be nice when we bought our car in cash.
Love those. Love those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people who are like, oh, you're just so lucky, right? Whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Luck. Okay.
How were they able to do that?
Yeah.
Well, we worked for it.
Yeah.
Also, my brother actually came over fairly recently over Christmas, and we went to the casino. I budgeted for it. It's fine. But
Not a habitual thing, okay?
yeah, it's fine. I know Amber
you guys,
likes to do scratchers. So.
Yes. Amber's our bingo player and gambler. Yeah. By the way, this isn't confessions to Brad. It's okay.
But he was like, well, debt's a part of our family. Debt's a part of life. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm breaking that cycle, bud. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like another brother I know. Sounds like my brother. My brother used to say that, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, for the most part, our immediate family is super supportive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Really, we give weekly updates to his mom. And then we've also been trying to work with my parents on their debt-free journey, and they've got a mountain.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's awesome
Yeah.
that you're helping other people out. I think, and I don't know if maybe this happened to you guys too, but for me, I just got to the point where I used to care what friends and family used to think a long time ago. But then I just got to the point where I was so sick and tired of it. It's like, I just don't care anymore.
Right.
I just don't care. Like, I've got to get this fixed. And if that hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. Did you guys kind of get to that point?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It changed. I feel like our debt-free journey is getting us into that position of, it's not just finances. We're not just saying no to finances. We're saying no to the negativity and the crap that everybody has to say about pretty much anything. We're living our life the way that we want to live our life.
Yeah.
We're doing the things for our family that we want to do. And that means getting out of debt. That means working our tails off so that we can retire and we can have our life with each other.
Mhm.
It's been changing.
And I think people don't understand that as well, is that if you can at least go towards financial peace, it does a lot for the relationships in your life as well.
All right. So I have one last question for you guys. And I guess, what I would like you guys to do is really give some advice to some other people that are out there. And, you guys have been there. You guys have struggled with finances, and now you guys have made some decisions that ultimately have really helped you turn things around here in the last 8 or 9 months. Like, what advice would you give to someone else who's out there who's maybe doubting that they could have the same success, or is worried or scared to get started? Like, what would you say to them, knowing what you know now versus where you were, just 8 or 9 months ago?
I'd say, for me, if you're in a lot of debt and it's the kind that's giving you loads of anxiety, you don't know what to do with it, start with your free time. If you got free time to make extra money, start there, because if you can manage to bring in a little extra money, it does help motivate you to get stuff paid off. It kind of helps things flow. Then if you're somebody who feels like they don't have enough free time, really look at your spending, because I've talked to multiple people who have claimed that, they can't pay off their debt because they don't have enough time. They don't have enough time for a second job, or they're just too tired. And it's like, okay, that's fair. I get it. Life is busy. However, when we look at their finances, we realize the money's there. you're just buying a lot of stuff you don't need. And a lot of people will make non-negotiables. They'll say, well, I want to eat fast food because of my job. And it's like, okay, fair. And we show them, let's do your budget with fast food on there as a non-negotiable. You get this much a month. That should be more than fair. And they're like, okay, yeah. So where's the other $600 I'm making a month go? And it's like, that's the question you need to be asking yourself. So I found that in a lot of ways, yes, increasing your income can help, but in a lot of times it's not about the income. It's about the way the money's being spent. So I would say, look at your free time and look at what you're already doing with your money. That's the best piece of advice I can think to give.
I would say just start. Once you get started, and it was literally just that first day of us going, let's go DoorDash. We were only out for like an hour and a half. I think we only made $20, but it was like, that's a Capital One payment.
Yeah.
All right.
You got it.
So, and then in 6 days we hit our first 1,000. So.
Yeah. And that's another big piece of advice. Get that $1,000 emergency fund, because that's more important than people realize. It's more than just having a cushion. It's a stepping stone to much bigger things.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. Those recommendations and suggestions, I couldn't have said it any better. I mean, that's just such great stuff, such awesome gold there that you guys just shared. Well, you guys have done a fantastic job, and you guys have a lot to be proud of, and I just really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing some of these tips and just sharing your journey with us, and really ultimately giving a lot of other people out there hope that they can do this stuff too. And you guys are proof of that. So huge congratulations to you guys, seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us too.
Yes, absolutely. So happy to have you guys on. And again, if you guys are listening to this show, again, this is just proof that, like they said, just get started. Build that $1,000 emergency fund. Start small. It's just all about taking those small daily steps every single day. And if you do that, man, miraculous things can happen in just 12 months. Look at these guys, 8 or 9 months. It's absolutely incredible. So thanks so much, guys. Hey, if you love planners, this is for you. But you know why planners frustrate me? Because they only really get it half right. Now, sure, they're really good and fancy about helping you manage your time, which is really important, obviously. That's what a planner's for. But where they get it wrong is money, the second most valuable resource in our lives. Most planners don't include any financial planning, things like, keeping track of paydays, bills, due dates, spending, yearly expenses, budgets, cash flow planning, debt elimination plans, and goal planning, right? None of that stuff. That's a real pain. And then what? Then you got to create your own in some silly binder, right? And who has time for all of that stuff? So instead, what happens? Nothing, right? A lot of people tend to ignore their finances even more, and things only get worse. Well, that all ends today, because I am so excited to announce and release my brand new, totally awesome Debt Freedom Planner. This thing's awesome, by the way. Now, before you say, Brad, I've already got a planner. This is not an ordinary day planner. This is the Debt Freedom Planner, which is a companion tool that works with your day planner, and it's built to help you manage your money, pay off more debt, and melt away financial stress. And I believe this is the tool that a lot of people who want to take control of their finances have been waiting for. So head on over to therealdebtfreedad.com, click on the Debt Freedom Planner in the menu to get access to your planner today.
Hey, what's this sightseeing? I thought this was a party! Let's
All right. That sound means it's time for the celebrations of the show. And again, I just want to thank Miranda and Brian for joining us again. Huge congratulations to those guys. Such a big accomplishment. And man, just such a great story. So we're going to kick it off with Kim Stalker. Kim says, I really wanted to go out to eat last night. Really, really bad. But I don't have it in the budget. And then I remembered I had homemade spaghetti sauce in the freezer. And she says, if you know anything about me, you know how much I love my spaghetti. So that is what we had for dinner. And I had some leftovers even for lunch today, which is such an awesome win, Kim. I love that, man. Those temptations can be really hard for some of that fast food, especially if it's not on the budget. Way to stick to those, stick to the plan. That's such a great win. Chris, because we have started the envelope system, we had our chimney cleaned this week. We have an extra repairs envelope that had more than enough to pay the $238 cost in cash, which also left the excess buffer we leave in the checking account to finish paying off the $178 we had remaining on our Disney trip in June for 2022. So not only did they have the money to do their home repair, but paying cash for a Disney trip. Chris, what a great win. Congratulations to you guys. Tammy Yankee, I received an incentive check from work because I referred someone and planned to put it towards my emergency fund. I also paid off one debt for $522, and I got caught up on another. Tammy, huge win, girl. Congratulations to you. Mary Southard, sold some items on Facebook. Used the money to help my daughter reach a goal. Teach them young, she says. I don't want her making my financial mistakes. Mary, what a great teachable moment. Huge win for you guys. Congratulations. Jill, she says, no wins. It's a big loser week. She says, sigh. Murphy's Law, I guess. Good job, everyone else. And Jill, I put this in the celebrations here today as proof that this journey is tough. It is going to be hard. Whether you're in Roots, whether you're doing this on your own, like getting out of debt is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And there are going to be some ups and downs. But Jill, I'm here to encourage you to keep moving forward. The only time you fail is when you quit. And I know you've been at this for a long time, and I know you're not going to quit. But I wanted to bring this up for other people who might be having a tough week. It happens. Like when I was getting out of debt, there was a almost 1 year period I made no progress because I was getting divorced. It was tough, right? Man, it was hard. So I totally get those days. But you keep fighting back, and you can win. Just keep pushing, all right? Don't quit. Carrie Brogan wraps us up here today. She says, I noticed that I'm not waking up worrying about bills anymore. Gosh, this is so good. This is such an amazing feeling, she says. I feel less stress. I am sleeping better. Yes, she says, I still have a ways to go, but I can see the light. Carrie is seeing the hope. She's feeling the hope. Carrie, what a fantastic place to be. Congratulations to you guys. Man, what a great show here today. Just so many celebrations, so many wins, and proof that regular people are winning when it comes to their personal finances, and you can too. Now remember, to get all the resources, show notes, and links for today, head over to balancesense.com/111. That's BALANCEDCENTS.com/111. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback on this video. And if you want the latest from the show, obviously be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And for the latest resources, or if you want more information on how to kick debt and financial stress, please be sure to check out the links in this video or head over to therealdebtfreedad.com. We'll see you guys on an upcoming show. Take care.